Okay, it is November 18th, 7:16 p.m. I will call the Economic Development Commission meeting to order. Present are myself, Renee Deli, Sandy Overhead, Laura Parker, and Mike Massini. We have three items on the agenda. One talking about the Norton business updates and interests, and then we'll do a quick update on the status of the marijuana retailer reviews. And actually, you know what, item number 3, one of them Mike was going to talk to, the other one Denise, so if she's prepared, then we'll have that. Otherwise, I have a feeling we'll have a pretty short meeting. Hi, Denise, and Denise Luciano has joined us. 7:17. Oh, it feels so much later. Okay, so the first topic that we were going to talk about is a continuation from last week. Mike Units, town manager, and Michael Toole were both presenting in respect to the town pursuing additional all alcohol package store licenses and special legislation for that. Mike had an interested party. Let me just scroll mouse. Mike had an interested party who was looking at space at Blue Star Park for a high-end liquor store. This is, if you guys remember, this is actually a person, I think it was back in April or May, they first reached out to the town through Jeff with Condyne, and we didn't hear anything further. So they reached back out to Mike on that, and then Michael Toole also had expressed interest for pursuing a liquor license as well. So 2 different applicants essentially, and one of the conversations, or part of the conversation that Mike Units was talking about, was based on the information that he received from some of our representatives, that it made sense for us to pursue 2 or 3 additional licenses if that was the direction that we wanted to go. So while it's not an EDC decision on whether it moves forward, they are looking for support from the EDC to bring to the select board on this topic. So Laura, I know you said that you had some questions. Michael was going to bring some information back if you want to discuss those.
Yeah, there was a question as to, so from calling from the discussion, the law allows the town, based on the population, to have 3 liquor licenses. So it's 1 for every 5,000, and we hadn't reached 20,000. So we had 3, and then there was an additional one that was gained by special legislation. There's a question coming up, since we're just in the census year, if we exceed 20,000, does the one that was gained by a legislative measure become our 4th, or are we entitled to a 5th?
Oh, right, I remember. Was it, Units was going to come back on that, right?
I don't remember who was. I just remember somebody was going to look into that.
I think that was with Mike, not Michael, Mike Units. I do have some chicken scratch. Now it makes sense what that is. So we can bring that up at tomorrow's meeting, because this topic is on the select board's meeting as well, and see if he has an update. I can shoot him an email tonight just to be prepped for it. I haven't received anything.
I had a question as to, I know in the discussion, Michael said Feeney had suggested if you're going to ask for 1, ask for 2 to 3.
Yep.
But I don't understand the rationale, and I wanted to find out, is it because it's likely either the state? So I guess the question is like, what in the process, in the normal scheme of things, if a town goes and approves it, is it basically just a rubber stamp by the state to pass that legislation and then the ABC to issue it? Or is there a possibility that the state comes back and says, no, you can't have 3, you can only have 1, and that's why we're hedging our bets?
No, so I remember from the first discussion, the reason was because the amount of time, like a lot of that was, if you're going to put the effort in to get 1 license, pursue more, even if you don't have an applicant for it, so that you have it available for the town. And I don't remember him saying, we can ask that too. I don't remember him saying that they would come back and say, well, you've asked for this many, but we're only going to approve this. The conversation was more, it's just going to, they would approve or they wouldn't approve, but we can add that in. He did send an update from the ABCC, but it doesn't seem, it has to do more with COVID. It doesn't seem to have to do with any additional licenses.
Because I'll tell you what I'm thinking right now. I think I was thinking about, is this fulfilling an actual need? And I can see there being a need on the east side of town. I think there's a need for a higher end or a more well-stocked store. And I think over in the Blue Star Park is an appropriate place for it. I'm not necessarily sure I'm in support of another 2 on top of it, especially if we're likely to get a 5th one through our census. I just kind of feel like, my question is, is there really a need? Can the town support it? And even though we can technically go and get 2 or 3 more, do we really want to, keeping in mind the character of the town and the liquor stores that are already here? And by adding new liquor licenses, are we essentially robbing? I know we need revenue. I am all in favor of it. Is this the revenue we need, or is it just going to cannibalize the existing liquor stores that we have?
So can I just ask a clarifying question? This is the same license that gets used for a restaurant that might sell?
No,
No.
It's a separate license. Okay.
it is, yeah.
Just want to make sure I understood that.
This
Yeah.
is specific for package stores, right? For selling and not, I think it actually says in there not to be drunk on the premises.
Yeah, and it's full. I think it says all liquor, and some, as opposed to just what I'm going forward just refer to as the package stores, which I'm going to consider beer and wine only.
Okay. I wasn't sure if retailers were separate than restaurants or whatever.
So Laura, can I know that I was not on a meeting last week. I was able to watch the replay. And I thought the presentation and the discussion was well done. But I would like to just maybe pile on a little bit to what Laura is sort of alluding to. I'm not against I think the town, and I've been in the town for 16 years now. The town doesn't have a high-end liquor store. They've got mom and pop shops that have a license. I don't know what the biggest store in town today is, but I will tell you, I go out of Norton today to buy my beer and wine. Because I'm looking for the one-stop shop that I can get everything that I need, convenient for me, so I hit Wines and More in Mansfield, right? So I'm taking my business out of town, and on my way to Wines and More, I drive by 3 establishments that are all within a quarter of a mile of my house where I could buy beer and wine. And 2 of those 3 I could buy liquor. And the reason that I choose to take my business out of town is inventory selection and price. And quite frankly, when you walk into Wines and More, there's a wow factor, right? So I'm not against bringing something like that to the Blue Star Park, and I'll probably take a left out of my driveway instead of a right and keep my business in Norton. So I'm in favor of the idea. What I think is what I want to, Laura use the term cannibalizing one business for the sake of another. Is it in our best interest as a town to authorize the building of a full liquor store a 1/10 of a mile, essentially across the street from an existing store that has a beer and wine license? So Blue Star is across the street from an existing beer and wine license. It's a 1/10 of a mile away. Right? What message are we sending to the beer and wine What message are we sending
Which
to
one
the
is that name?
owner?
Sorry.
It's the one that's next to Dunkin' Donuts off of, on 123.
Do you know what the name of it is?
I don't know what it's called. It used to be.
It's like 1, 2, 3 or something,
Yeah.
stop.
It's
Yeah.
not the pine, it's not the one listed on Michael's presentation as Pinecrest that says they were looking to sell, was it?
No,
I don't know.
I don't think it was ever called Pinecrest. I think
don't
it's
know.
something very generic, like
Quick
Norton.
Stop or is it
Yeah,
Quick Stop? Yeah, and
That's where
they-
something would stop.
Right, and they've, they've made the investment, and listen, I actually was in there for the first time in a long time last week. Was on my way, I said I stopped in and I bought what I needed to there. They've doubled the size of their store because they took over where the Cricket's Corner breakfast place used to be. So they essentially have that whole building. It's not a small footprint, and their selection, I was like, wow, this is just, there's a lot in there, right? It's not a Wines and More, but they've made the investment to, expand their business. And then what does that do to their business if the 4,000 square foot retail facility with a full license opens literally across the street?
I mean, Mike, I think it's a good thing to consider, but I'll go back to your point, right? You're going out of town for yours. So I think I think a lot of the people who are going to go there are in the same.
I think the point, Renee, is I'm in favor of bringing a better, more alternatives to town. I feel a little bit conflicted by approving a license within 1/10 of a mile of an existing establishment. And so that happens to be the proposal that Michael made, and that's fine. And so it's not about Michael, it's just about, is that the right thing to do? The second point I'd like to make, and this is not, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody to approve these licenses, but I literally drive by 3 establishments within 1/4 of a mile of one another. Mass Gas, Produce Barn, Norton Liquors. Right, 1, 2, 3. They're on top of one another, and they do cannibalize each other's business. And when you look at the footprint of the town, it just seems odd to me that that those 3 licenses were approved in that close proximity to one another.
I don't know that all the licenses are attached to a location. For the purposes of this special legislation, that was one of the proposals, to say that we have a need to put the stores in areas where they aren't. And I would argue too, to that point, that the Great Woods Plaza, because of what you just said, there are 3 right there, right? That I don't see that being an area that needs a second, another liquor store, whether it's just beer and wine or not.
Right, needs a 4th. That would be the 4th. And actually, there was the 4th there when Roche was there. They had a wine and liquor license. That was 4 in literally a 1/2 mile or 3/4 of a mile stretch of 140. Right. So I'm in favor of the idea. But I'm also in favor of the idea that was discussed last night, which is to create zones in town and to create a greater dispersion of the licenses. Because I do think the east side, 140 towards Taunton, that's all white space. But there's nothing down there.
So just for purposes of clarity for me, and I apologize for my confusion, but what exactly is it we're asking to approve tonight? Just the additional licenses, not tied to locations or applicants or anything like that? Or are we asking to talk about specific applicants and locations?
I mean, I don't think it's applicants, and I would caution us too to attach, if we pursue a license, there's no guarantee that a high-end liquor store is going to get that license, right? I know that's like we talk about that's a nice need, and that was how it was first presented to us. But by the time we get a license, even if it was one that we got through the census, that individual applicant may not be interested, or that company may not be interested. So I think we have to think about it overall as, it could just be another store that sells beer, wine, and liquor. Right, understanding that we like the concept of a high end, and I think that the value of that would be, especially off of exit 10, is that's not only going to attract Norton people, but it will attract people who are south of Mansfield, right? And this would be one of the closer locations that they can go for the, all in one stop, or to get specialty wines or specialty liquors.
Yeah, I have to be honest, completely forgot there was even a liquor store over by exit 10. Completely forgot. I thought it was just closed. I knew the Crickets was closed, and I assumed that whole building was closed. I didn't even realize that there was a liquor store over there.
It's not liquor, it's beer and wine, right?
Beer and wine.
Oh, it's just a packy?
Yeah, it's just,
Mhm.
Oh, it's beer and wine.
yeah.
Okay.
And then,
So I guess as the EDC, as trying to promote economic development, I feel like this to me is, especially given what Mike says, and we're in the same boat. We go outside of Norton when we go, to get to beer, wine, liquor, whatever. So I feel like there is definitely a need for something. I feel like anybody who comes in is gonna have to find something that sets them apart, because there are quite a few of the mom and pops. So I can't imagine someone doing something similar to that and thinking they can compete. So I think something, somebody who comes in is going to have to set themselves apart in some way, which, maybe is higher end, maybe is more variety, maybe is more craft beer. I mean, who knows what they end up, what their angle is. But I think there's definitely, I would disagree that there isn't a need. I think there absolutely is a need when so many of us are saying we're going outside of town. And I think also as the Economic Development Commission, I feel like we should be pursuing all avenues of economic development. I think there's the fact that there's those three in that small, contained area, and they're all surviving, means that there is enough of a demand in this town for, certainly right now during COVID, I'm imagining they're doing pretty well. So I think, I don't necessarily see a downside, and I can't, will it hurt other businesses? I mean, I think you can say that about anybody's business that comes into town, right? If another donut shop comes in, if anything else comes in, they might push somebody else out. So, and then again, some of these liquor stores might be getting to the point where they don't want to stay around anymore. Like, we don't know what their long-term intentions are. So I think we have to kind of think bigger picture and where there is a need. I'm personally in support of it.
Is the license, once the town grants a specific business the license, is that an asset that they own and can resell, or they use it for the life of their business and they turn it back into the town when they're done?
It's not the town's. So like the Roach Brothers one, it's not like they turn it back to us. They can sell it, or I think that they can, something with the ABCC that they can do, but at no time is it the town's.
So it's a transfer.
So it is an asset that they acquire, and they can actually sell that at some point.
Yeah, we have to approve the transfer of it,
Right.
but it's not ours per se.
So if I could just clarify, I'm in support of one additional license. I am not in support of 2 or 3.
Do you guys remember when that was first brought to us? I remember the conversation was 1 to 2. And then when Mike brought it back this last time, I swear he said 2 to 3. I was kind of surprised. Okay.
Yeah, he said Feeney suggested asking for 2 to 3. And again, that goes back to my question. If the census comes back and we're over 20,000, do we automatically get another one, or does the one that we attained through legislation count as the 4th? Meaning, is there a potential we're automatically going to be getting one?
Yeah, we will definitely ask the question, but I have to think, because of the way that we're set up now, that we have 4, and one is through special legislation, that if that legislation passes, right, we will have those and we will get another one as part of the census, but we can clarify. But in my mind, seeing how it is right now, I think that's how it would be.
So I know we said 2 or 3, but I feel
If
like
there was an immediate, sorry.
I feel like the main focus at the last meeting was really just the 2. So I'm wondering, can we vote to, and again, we're not, we're just saying whether we support it or not. I don't know that we need to, it's ultimately up to select board and then town meeting to vote on to say, you know, whether they're going to approve it, whether they feel like this is something. So I don't know that we need to get too into the details. But personally, I think that the two that were mentioned at the last meeting, I would fully support. I don't necessarily think we need a third, but I would be okay with it too.
Even if
I
we
would
know
too.
we're getting
I
another
think-
one, sorry. Even if we know we're getting another one with the census, then we'd have 3.
Yeah, again, I'm fine with that personally, but
I am too. I think that's just part of natural growth in the town. And then I think of, you know, not that I see a grocery store going back into that spot, but, you know, it certainly provides more opportunities for something else to scoop that license up too.
Yeah, as much as I would like to see something in Great Woods Marketplace, I don't see a liquor store being the savior.
Oh, no, I don't either.
And it's just going to cannibalize the business down the road. And I think it's,
but Laura, how
I-
what is that if there already was a place there?
what's that?
There already was one there, so I'm not sure why that would hurt the businesses around when there already was one there.
Yeah, it was. Granted, it was only a packy, but yeah, I get it. But I don't want this to turn into. I don't want to do it because it's the only thing that we can put in and the only thing our town can support. Or, you know, I don't want to wind up as one of those, you know, dying towns that you see out in the western part of the state where all there are liquor stores and maybe a dollar store, and that's all they can support. And there's a liquor store, you know, every block. I think it's also, while it is our mission to bring in business and to bring in more revenue, I still think we have a responsibility to think about what we're bringing in on a holistic basis.
So
Can this town support 3 more liquor stores? And do we want it to? That's the question. Do we really want 3 more liquor stores in this town?
Well, Laura, let me ask you this, right? We talked about the grocery stores and the fact that they're going to go out and they're going to do their own due diligence on whether or not their business can be supported in the town. So from my perspective, I think this is a similar situation, right? Like if we did have 3 licenses, if somebody doesn't think that they're going to be successful because of the amount of licenses that we have or the location, I don't think they're going to come here.
Okay.
I mean, that's my thought. Like, I think there's still accountability and ownership on whoever the company is to really make it successful. But should we not support that additional growth? Like I have a different view because I'm on the side where, you know, the only thing here is Quick Stop, and Quick Stop just doesn't, you know, I'm in the same boat. Like I go somewhere else to get my stuff. It would be great if I could just go right over to, you know, it's a mile for me to get, you know, the one-stop shop. I mean, I'd probably be there all the time. You know, so I could see the need for the growth. And again, it's the exit and the easy access off the highway and people going down to the Cape. And like, I just think it gives us a lot of opportunity. But, you know, that goes back to us. Like, do we support it being location-based and the special legislation that way? Or do we support just going after more licenses?
So Renee,
Mike.
I do need to go in a couple minutes, so I'm just.
Oh my goodness.
And you know, I feel like we're kind of rehashing the same points, right? That I feel like, you know, if we can vote, we can, and ultimately really isn't up to us anyway. It's just whether we
Whether we support it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've said my piece. You know, I will go along with it because I think we need it, and you know, I'm not going to turn it down, but I would hope we were thoughtful about what we were letting.
So Laura, to that point, you know, I'm leaning more towards. I mean, I'm supportive of it. you know, and I don't want to say with restrictions, but I do think evaluating the footprint of the town and, you know, in more geographic disbursement is,
Yeah.
you know, should be evaluated.
Necessary.
I know that Mike Units
I agree.
Mike Units on the video or on the meeting mentioned that the businesses down in towards the Attleboro line was saying we need more to attract more traffic to this end of town. You know, and
Isn't
to be
there a
honest, when I'm
patio over
coming,
there?
to be honest, when I'm coming from Attleboro into Norton, and if I have to stop at the liquor store, I stop in Attleboro before I get into Norton because the size of the store, the inventory, and the prices versus stopping at like a Michelle's where you're going to be limited to, you know, 30 foot of refrigerated beer versus, you know, 200 linear feet.
Is anyone else thinking that we're all going to go to Mike's to drink?
You should. Let's do it.
So the way that this was written, and so the way that Michael initially wrote this, he wrote that the licenses would be focused in 2 areas: Great Woods Marketplace and Blue Star Industrial Park. I don't think that's necessary. Like I think if, from what it sounds like, if we're in support of it, that, you know, we just want the town to be thoughtful and cognizant of where those go and not just throw one somewhere because you think you need it. But back to the point of, you know, is it at the end of it's actually 123 on both ends, right? Taunton and closer to Easton. So, you know, being specific about putting it where we think the demand would be and making sure that the company would be successful because it's a higher traffic area.
And is there, let me throw this out there. So let's say we said, you know, we wanted to go for 3 licenses, that, you know, we don't have an obligation to fill all 3 licenses, right? Could the town sit on a license and not issue it?
I mean, if somebody would,
That's what Plainville did.
Right, if the conditions aren't right to issue a license, you know,
Right.
then it would seem that we could hold that license until the right business, the right conditions presented themselves.
Yeah.
so let me ask you, if
Plainville, sorry.
I was just gonna, I know Sandy has to go in like 1 minute. I was just gonna ask about if we vote, would you guys be more comfortable with putting a limit, like to say 1 or 2, that we support 1 or 2? We have some reservations about 3, just because of the size and the need in the town. I'm sorry, Laura, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to have an opportunity for us to, if we're ready to vote to, or at least to vote to provide information back to the board tomorrow before Sandy leaves.
I move that we recommend an additional 2 licenses.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
Any discussion? Do we want to put any language in there about locations or just recommend 2?
I think there should be some, I don't know how you phrase it, but yes, there should be some thoughtful consideration given to location.
I would second that.
It's already seconded, Mike.
And I will third it.
Okay, so I'll put recommend an additional 2 licenses to be
Feeny mentioned districts, so maybe it winds up being similar to an overlay or attaching.
yeah, you have to give like specific areas, right? I don't know how you phrase that, but if we wanted to do that, what I'm trying to find in the presentation is the name of that, and I don't know if anybody remembers or wrote it down.
The name of what?
Like to do the proposed liquor stores in specific, something like economically.
Jurisdictions.
Oh, he referred to it as economic needed.
Yep, economic need areas. I just saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say correct me if I'm wrong, recommend additional 2 licenses to be focused on areas within the economic, or focused on the economic need areas within the town of Norton. Yeah. Good, sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call votes. Sandy,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
okay, and I also vote yes. Okay, so perfect. So I will bring that, I'll try to email tonight if my laptop stays up. Otherwise, I'll bring that to the board tomorrow during the discussion.
All right,
Thanks, Sandy, for hanging on.
thanks.
Bye.
Hi, Sandy. Sorry, I didn't know she was running.
I was thinking it was 8:45 for some reason, not 7:45. So I'm glad she said something.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So the other thing that we had, I don't know if you guys read the email that we received from a resident about Peloton, about them looking for a larger warehouse. They're currently located in Easton. So I had some discussion with Paul and Mike in respect to what other areas, if we reached out to them, what other areas could we also offer up? And Mike had suggested 176 South Washington, which is that huge warehouse. I think it's something like 200,000 square feet. And then Paul just gave us more specifics on the warehouse that is going up at Blue Star that doesn't have any interested parties for it. So I thought there was something on 123 too, but I hadn't heard back from Mike. But I did talk to Michael separately, and he's willing to reach out to those folks to understand what their requirements are and then provide them with some direction on some potential space within Norton.
Is there space in the Blue Star Park, or are they already booked up?
No, so the new warehouse going up right now. Let me just pull that email up.
There is space, Laura. She just mentioned there was space. You may have been spacing.
Maybe I was taking notes on my.
Yeah, no,
That's okay.
there's space.
Okay.
So Blue Star started construction on building 7. It's 130,000 square feet, and Paul is not aware of any tenants on that building. Any potential tenants. Have you guys been there recently, by the way? Have you seen the size of those buildings?
Yes, and now that they're coming together, the curb appeal is a lot more than when they were just these giant cement walls.
I gotta go by and look at it. I haven't. Well, but every time I've been through that exit recently, it's been dark. So
It's
And,
actually pretty cool though to see it dark. Like every time I pass with the kids, they're like, "Can we go see the warehouses?" And it's like it's a Christmas show or something.
It's cheap admission.
the kids are
Yeah.
happy. Yeah.
Come by.
The structure is nice, and it's good to see cars parked out there, people working.
Yeah. It'll be nice when the retail building goes up, right on the front, and they start making some improvements to the roadway there.
Yeah.
I'm
They
so
have.
interested.
When was the last time you drove by there?
Yesterday. I didn't go down Leonard though. I just went.
No, they've got
That's
all the
123.
granite curbing in. They've started to do the paving, and it's coming along.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it with
drove by. No, I haven't either.
in the daytime.
The only reason I go that way is like it used to be
McGuire's.
McGuire. I was like McMorgan's. That's not right. McGuire's are Target, and now I just get Target delivery, and McGuire's takeout is like a nightmare. You got to order it like 7 hours in advance if you want to pick it up for dinner. So
Crazy.
We actually ate in McGuire's. That was the first place that we went inside.
oh, that's a really tight enclosure in there.
Yeah, but they have it's
Got the
all
low ceilings
sectioned off
too.
and-
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
That is
I mean,
not
I didn't
where
get sick.
Yeah, no, that's not where I have been
Where
in
you'd wanna go?
exactly one restaurant inside, and that's it. And even then, like I kind of did I'm gonna need to inspect you before I gotta take my
Yeah.
table. I had to do a little walk around. All right, you'll do.
You brought your own bleach to wash the table down.
Yeah.
Put your own thing out there, 6 feet. Okay, so anything more on Peloton, or if anyone else is interested in helping Michael, feel free to reach out to him.
Sorry, Renee, was there an attachment attached to one of the emails that came out early this morning? Because I didn't see the letter from the whoever sent it in.
I was in an email. She sent it, I think, 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Are we talking about Peloton?
Yeah, is that what you're talking about, Mike?
Yes, whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
email came to the EDC on the 10th.
Okay.
And then I responded back and you guys were blind copied. And that was on the 12th. And then the other information has just been with Denise and copy with Mike and Paul up until Michael said that he'd reach out, and then I brought him into the thread.
If somebody needs help with something, I'm happy to offer my services. I'm not sure how much
Okay.
use I'm going to be, but happy to help if somebody needs me.
Excellent. I thought it was great that she reached out to us. So
Yeah.
you know, I like people thinking about that and having an outlet. Okay, perfect. So the next item, is there anything more on that or any other new business interest that you guys had to discuss?
No.
Okay. So the next item is just in respect to the select board and marijuana retailer review. The hope was that it would have been brought in front of the board last Thursday, but the negotiations weren't done. So everybody is done now. The board has the final HCAs in hand and the presentations. Each applicant will come and give a 10-minute presentation tomorrow, and then we'll have some discussion afterwards on the HCAs. I don't know if the board is going to vote tomorrow, but we do have town council there, so she can help guide us. And she's the one, Amy has been awesome. She has a lot of experience. She's actually our person who sits with the planning board. So when we had that discussion from some folks about the potential odor issues with the cultivation or manufacturing facility, she was the one that I spoke with directly, and she's well versed in it. She's done a lot of the negotiations, so we're really lucky to have her represented and available to assist us. So that'll take place tomorrow at 5:30. We pushed the meeting up. We were supposed to have a public hearing. So we were doing it beforehand. That's why it's so early and such an odd time. So we'll see. My hope is that we get a vote tomorrow and we can move to the next step.
I'll be there.
So we'll see what happens. Anything on that? Any questions or concerns? Okay. So the
Have
business,
the HCA's been negotiated? Sorry.
yeah, all three of them have.
Okay.
I should check on that actually. See if I got the last one. It's done. They're negotiating. Because I had computer issues, I couldn't get the thing out of my. Yep, I have a signed one for the last one. So, the next item. Anything else on that? Okay. The next item, the business survey, Michael was going to talk to, so we'll skip that. Denise, I don't know if you have any updates on the business guide. I know it was just 2 weeks ago we talked about you reaching out to Anthony and getting up to speed on where he was on that.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I'll be honest, I completely forgot. I'll email him right now. I apologize.
That's okay. No worries. I'll call you a name later in text.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I have to take on item number 4. I left it on here because it's a good list for me to know which meeting minutes haven't been reviewed. My plan was to do it over the weekend, but with all my tech issues, there was not happening. So we'll have another one to review.
I was going to say, are you doing all of these, Renee, now that Anthony's
Yeah.
gone? Should we divide and conquer?
I have some pretty good notes because most of these are for the marijuana one. I think I have the 26th from Anthony, I think, in my email. I know beforehand he and I were going back and forth on 2 or 3 of them. I just need to check, but I don't think so because for the first ones for the marijuana review, we focused primarily on one applicant. So I think a overview, like a summary really of what the general thoughts were in the questions. I mean, I have those written in an email so I can like copy and paste them. I appreciate that, Denise. I'll let you know if it becomes too tedious, but I don't expect those to take too long.
I just don't want you to get overwhelmed. I know you get a lot on your plate, so don't hesitate to holler for help.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So that's all I have listed on the agenda. Anything else that you guys wanted to discuss? Anything for the next meeting?
When is our next meeting? Next 2 weeks?
Yeah, I have it listed
We're on
as
this schedule.
December 2nd. Yeah, I don't know, did you guys get it? I'm not quite sure how this new email interface is working. Did you guys get a recurring meeting from me this morning?
Hang on. I thought it was just for today, but it looks like there are 2 of them.
I was gonna say, I know I got a meeting invite. I thought it was duplicate of today, so I may have accidentally deleted it. Let me look.
I got it. Let me take a look at the calendar and see if it populates. Yep, it's set up standing meetings every 2 weeks from today.
Okay. And then it should say like in the location, like refer to town calendar unless you get something separate, or I may put that in the body of it. Okay. I just needed something to put in the recurring, but anticipate that a link would come for each one.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be good. If we have any conflicts, obviously we can move it. If we don't have any updates for the next meeting, I mean, I can reach out separately. I know, we had quite a bit of meetings over the last couple of months. So if there's nothing pressing and you guys are fine, we can cancel next meeting if we don't have updates. I just don't know.
It may be tough over the holidays for people too, so.
Yeah. I mean, really, I think the only, if anything, maybe we get together and approve quickly a couple meeting minutes, try to get 4 or 5 banged out, and I can get Paul and my internet's bouncing. I can get Paul and Mike on too, if we need them for the MRS ones. Okay, well, perfect. Well, look at this. This goes down, I think, as our shortest meeting, potentially.
Nice.
Yeah.
Johnny time.
Exactly. So the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
So moved.
Seconded.
Thirded.
Hold on, I just have to write everybody's. Okay. So I have first and second, or motion and second. Denise?
Yes.
Laura?
Aye.
I'm going to let them know you did that. Mike?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So we are adjourned at 8 p.m. Thank you guys so much for your time and discussion. And I will keep you posted on if we have topics for the second.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Did you have something else, Laura?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Have a safe week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.